Hey everyone, welcome to Spotlight Hour, the one-on-one podcast where we talk with content creators, collectors, and the sixth scale community. Tonight, my special guest, Desy from Metamorphic Customs. How you doing tonight, brother?
What's up, man? Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Glad for you to be here. Thank you for joining, man. I know schedule's been kind of, getting everybody together at certain times, but we're here. We've made it, and looking forward to learning more about you.
Yeah, man. Life's busy, but hey, like I said, glad to be here.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, definitely busy. Definitely busy. So, obviously this is usually where I kind of go right in the beginning, man. We just drop right into it. I'd like to know, how long have you been collecting anything in general? It doesn't have to be Hot Toys. Just like, was it from, early childhood, or like when did you really get into collecting?
I mean, I guess the short of it is I don't remember a time when I wasn't collecting. If you consider collecting going back to childhood and receiving toys from your parents, right? The whole collect them all, like it said on the back of the card. Like I don't remember a time where I wasn't doing that.
Do you think that's how it started? Like just got some gifts and then.
Absolutely. My parents didn't know, my grandparents didn't know much about the lore or the characters or the toys, but they knew enough that it's like, hey, it would be pretty cool if you had the whole collection of this, this being Transformers, G.I. Joe, Ninja Turtles, right? I never had everything, but they tried. Like, every time a birthday came around, Christmas, they would try to get me the whole collection. So that's how it started. Definitely, that's how I started.
Wow, so they actually like went out of their way to get you the whole run.
They tried. They never were able to accomplish it, but they tried. Like if there was a Chase figure, they went to multiple Toys R Us and Play Worlds at the time, and they tried.
Wow.
They found it to be fun to try to get that for me. So I am extremely grateful, and obviously I was very fortunate.
Yeah, I'd say you had a pretty cool family, man. My family would just buy whatever they thought I would like, and that was it.
Yeah. The only thing that they never got me multiple of was video game systems, right? Like all my friends, they would either have multiple or save up money, like and get one. They would not allow me to have more than one video game system.
And that's it, huh?
Yeah, they're like, I was like, look, I can't. You can set a time for me, and I won't go beyond that time. But it's okay. It doesn't matter if you have 3 or 1 or 5. And they're like, no, you can't have more than one.
Right. You're like, they're like, you have a Nintendo. You don't need a Sega.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
Weird things, right? So.
Nah, hey, but that's cool then. That means you just basically at an early age, what was it? Was it Star Wars, Turtles, pretty much anything, or?
As far back as I remember, the first thing was G.I. Joe and He-Man, then Transformers, then Turtles. And then throughout that sprinkled in is Star Wars here and there. I still have the Rancor from the 83 from Return of the Jedi line.
Nice. Yeah, still have it, huh? Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So pretty much I think probably most people of our generation, same pattern. Like I had like G.I. Joes, Ninja Turtles, Thundercats, He-Man, Transformers, Star Wars.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Thundercats. Yeah.
When did you then? And I'm curious. So that was all the way up until eventually, right? You discovered 6 scale. Well, I would say maybe more importantly, Hot Toys, for example, right? Because we had the old Kenner, 12-inch, or they're technically 6 scales. But can you recall when you first saw a Hot Toy?
Well, I first saw a Hot Toy probably in 2006-ish. Maybe 2005, 2006, when they had their military line and they had just acquired the Aliens line. And I knew about, maybe even earlier, because I knew about them. I knew their military line, and they didn't have the Aliens line yet.
Okay, yeah. So it was just because before that was like the police and the firemen and.
Yes. And I was on the line. I never got those, but I really wanted to because they were incredible figures. It was just like every little pouch and detail was there. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, see, I didn't know about those at the time, but I know when I spoke with Fabio from Fob's Figures, I'll actually, it's this way. I'll put a link here if you guys haven't seen his already. But he had mentioned that too. Yeah, it was great, man. He has great insight from all the old, like you said, the firemen, the police, then they went in the military. So you already kind of knew of them though, but is that when it actually struck you, or when did you see something that you were like, oh, okay, this is real deal, I need to get this?
Even before they had the Aliens license, I thought, wow, holy crap, these people are going all out. The thing that struck me the most, because I had never, out of everything I had ever collected, even I think I was 12 years old when I first, as if you ask me, that's when I started collecting. And to me, the definition of collecting is when you're not doing it as a kid to play, even though you are collecting everything, collect them all. But
Right.
at 12 is when I decided to collect, like, just to display and either keep stuff on in the box or take it out and just display it somewhere. So when I first saw the Hot Toy, I was like, I had never had an interest in collecting 12-inch figures because I thought they always looked ridiculous because the clothes never fit right. It was like everybody's jacket was like,
Yeah, like the old
like
GI Joes and stuff like that, or even the Kenner, like the Star Wars, even like they just kind of
right.
didn't
So it
really
was
look
like
right.
it didn't look right to me. So if it wasn't sculpted, I wasn't interested. And then they released their military figures, and I was like, this looks to scale. This looks awesome. What
Right.
did they do? So then they released their aliens line, and I mean, it obviously wasn't in the budget. And back then, they were like what, 60, between 60 and $90 a
I
pop.
know, isn't
The
that crazy to think
the,
about?
the Colonial Marines, and I couldn't really get them, but I definitely wanted them. Um, and I think my first one was finally the AVP, the Chopper Predator from that movie, which I hate. But I got that Chopper Predator from a retail store here that no longer exists.
Well, I mean, the Predators just looked awesome anyway. Like regardless of
Yeah, it was a kit
yeah.
back when it was a kit, and they didn't come all assembled. You had to put the body net on the Predator body and then put all the armor on. It was cool.
So wow, when was that? Was that like 2011, 2012?
No, I got my first figure like 2007. That first Chopper Predator was
Oh,
like
was it even further
2000.
back? Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was like
I
it was
lose
like
track of days,
2007.
bro. I think like 10 years ago was like the 90s. You know
No,
what
no,
I mean?
and
Like,
it's you know how I judge it because I know that was my first one, and I had the second one was the dog alien from Alien 3, but I didn't really start collecting Hot Toys. I wouldn't say I started collecting them until 2008, and I remember that date because that's when Iron Man and The Dark Knight both came out in
mm.
theaters,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's
right.
when I
Yeah.
started collecting. So I was like, I remember that's when they made the announcements, and I was like, oh my god, they,
So pretty
they
much at
hit
the
it out of the
birth of the
park.
MCU.
Yes, yeah,
Wow, okay. So now we fast forward 13 years, 14 years later.
yeah,
14
yeah.
years. Wow.
It's been and I did stop collecting Hot Toys for like a 5 years between what, like 2013 and 2018. I stopped, not because I stopped collecting, I just stopped collecting Hot Toys. Um,
Why is
so
that?
I miss because I don't know. I wouldn't say I got burnt out because I kept collecting other things. I collect statues and I got into Warhammer 40K, but um, it was that naive point when I was collecting Hot Toys where everything when they first came out, like this was it. Like you couldn't get any better than this.
Right.
And then around 2012, 2013, it wasn't the first time, but it's when they really started getting into reissues and version twos. And I was like, well, man, like I can't keep up with this. There's no way. And now it's every character. Now they really started diving deep into the MCU. It's like, and in my mind, it's like if I can't collect it all, then I might as well have not have it. And I was wrong. That was a terrible approach.
Well,
So I missed out on the 2015 birth of Hot Toy Star Wars, right? So and I came back in 2018, but
so at least so you just kind of got away out of the hot toy game for a little, but you were,
yeah, yeah, I never stopped collecting. I just stopped collecting Hot Toys for a little bit.
what made you decide to come back then?
So it was 2018 Star Wars. The Dark Side Anakin was sitting on Sideshow for about 2 months or so, and I said to myself, don't do it because once you get into it, it's Star Wars. You're not going to be able to get out. But I said I had to. It's such an incredible product.
Oh yeah.
Um, Not that I'm a huge fan of Revenge of the Sith. I like it, but the piece looks so good. So I got it, and that's what got me back into Hot Toys. At least Star Wars Hot Toys.
Right. At least Star Wars. Yeah, and that's crazy too, right? We talk about that sometimes on the channel or in other live streams that, Dark Side Anakin is pretty much it is a grail at this point, and it's crazy to think that, as you just stated, I mean, he sat for all of them did. They sat forever.
It really sat there. I can't believe it sat that long. That figure in particular, I can understand figures sitting, but that figure, I was like, people not know? Like, this thing's awesome.
Right? Well, and it's
I don't
like,
care if you hate the movie. Like, it's good.
it's not like there wasn't a hot toy community back then either. Maybe it wasn't as prominent as YouTube. So so I guess in that respect, maybe it was a little bit. I don't know though, because there was still forums and a couple Facebook groups, but I think maybe
it was
at the time
2018.
people were probably just kind of displeased with Star Wars at that time. You think?
People, the sequel trilogy rubbed some people the wrong way. A lot of people. So I think I mean, even the Rogue One figures, which I wasn't around for, they sat. And now look at them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. That is true, man. So I'm curious then, because for those who don't know, you have been creating dioramas, specifically for 6 scale, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Started about almost 2 years now, and hit the stride last year. And it's mainly 6 scale that I'm doing. I could do any scale. But I actually started making terrain. I've always been I have a degree in art, and was always my background. So I've always been doing something creative.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. So and when I wasn't in Hot Toys, before I was doing dioramas, I was into statues and Warhammer 40K. So I was painting miniatures and.
Oh, so you already had the experience with with Warhammer, making
that's how I got into the dioramas, because I started making terrain for miniature gaming, right? So, which is a much different scale. 28 millimeter is not 6 scale, but the concept is the same. You just got to change your scale, and that's how I got into it.
Wow! So just because of Warhammer, then essentially, creating the battlefields, right, and the foliage and all that stuff. Because I'm familiar with Warhammer. So you got really into it and thought, you know what, maybe I'm into art. I like art. Let me start making these for Warhammer. And then once you kind of got back into the Hot Toys game, you're like, the experience that I have and my creativity. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, because I was curious as to why, you know what I mean, what made you get into it. But now I understand. That makes perfect sense. That's good.
I have to maintain that level. I have to have a creative outlet. And when I got back into Hot Toys, I started leaving 40K behind, because I didn't have the time. It didn't have anything to do with Hot Toys. It's just I didn't have the time with work. But I still, because 40K takes up so much time to build and paint armies.
Oh yeah, it does.
Especially if you want to do it to a certain level or degree. So I left that behind, and I started looking more towards dioramas and trying to make the Hot Toys display really stand out a little bit. So that's how I started doing it. And then some people started coming over and suggesting, hey, you should probably try to sell your work because it's good.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's
thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff, man. And it's interesting because I didn't know that you had done dioramas initially. We had met, or as other people may have seen you on live streams. Can you tell me how did that come about? Because you don't have it. Well, now maybe, but then it wasn't like a channel. But here you are on streams.
So I made a diorama at the beginning of last year, beginning of 2021. I made a diorama on a commission for a friend, someone who's now a friend, Will. And I think Will was probably the guy that mentioned the piece that it was a small base topper, and he mentioned me to Easy Company Collectibles. Don't ask me to say it fast because I can't.
Was that Will Fox Vacation?
No, not Will Fox Vacation.
Oh, okay.
We'll see. Yeah.
Oh, we'll see. Okay. We'll see.
We'll see. I'm pretty sure it was him. He was the guy who mentioned me to Easy. And then Easy reached out, and one thing led to another. He asked for a base. I said, look, I'll give you this, what you're asking for, but I think I can give you something else too, that I think you'll like. And I sent it to him, and he paid for it. And when he got it, he's like, I let me do a review, and sent me a quick video intro. He then introduced me to Dante from Metamorphic Collectibles. Dante reached out and he's like, "Can you do this for me?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll do a base for you." And I did a Thanos base with that pipe thing with debris.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and he said, he's like, "Hey, I'm going to review this for you." And I said, "Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it." And he did the review. I sold him that piece, and then about a few weeks afterwards, he's like, "Do you want to come in onto a live stream?" And my first reaction was like, I don't know. I'm kind of shy.
Yeah, I was because I was wondering about like, I mean,
I was like, I don't know. Like they're like, just do it. I was like, all right, cool. So I got this mic, and I was like, all right, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right.
no,
And,
yeah, absolutely. That's okay. So that makes sense. That makes sense then. So really, it was just kind of word of mouth, and then people enjoying what you create for them, and then boom, here we are. Let's come on some streams, hang out, talk hot toys, talk pop culture, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's a lot of getting lucky, man. Like I remember the first bases when I decided, like, okay, somebody told me I should sell this. I posted up a couple of pictures of what I was making, and like the first reaction was no reaction. you know,
Well,
uh, so you're like, all right, well, I'm going to keep doing this anyways for myself, and then it finally, it kicked off.
well, and it wasn't until recently, right? Like last month. So let's fast forward then. So when was that? That was when you first sold it commissioned to Will C, and then Easy reached out to you. What point in time was that? Can you recall?
That was January 2021, I believe, that I sold my first commission piece, probably to Will C, maybe January, February, about a year ago, because we're in 2022 right now. And then Easy must have reached out between March and April of 2021, if I remember correctly. I did my first base for him around that time, and I did the base for Dante, I think in May, maybe April, May of 2021.
Okay.
And then it was shortly after, like by June or July, I was on live streams with Dante and Easy.
So that was a pretty quick transition.
Yeah. So I met Easy, Dante, Aries, yourself, everybody in the community.
So fast forwarding from then, about a year, let's say about a year then, right? A year later, you've now created your own YouTube channel.
Yeah, I wanted to challenge myself, because just like the live stream that I mentioned, I'm a shy guy. I'm an introvert. I can get up and present if I need to. I do it for work all the time, but I prefer not to. So for me, it was like, you know what? I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to be on this live stream. And it's like, but I'll do the live stream, but I'll never I'll never have a YouTube channel. So I was like, okay, well, now it's time to take it to the next step. I'm going to go outside my comfort zone and get in front of a camera and talk to nobody, because you're just talking to a camera.
Because you do a little bit different. So your channel now is more informational, instructional, how to with how you create dioramas and to like how you take care of hot toys and tips and tricks and things of that nature, right?
Yeah, I had two goals with the channel. I had a lot of goals, but two main ones. One was to make it like a TV episode, so that when it starts, you just don't see my hands. So that even though it's on YouTube, it's not just like some guy's hands and you never know what he looks like. No, it has a host, it has an intro and outro. Even if you skip it, that's fine. But that's what was one of the goals. The other goal was there's a lot of crafting YouTube channels and crafting videos, and they all tend to have this awesome editing, right? Where it's like quick cut, slow motion, quick cut, slow motion.
Right. I know what you mean.
And it looks awesome, but you're not really getting it. Like for me, right. I'm like, wait, hold on, what? So it's more about the entertainment and the artistry of the actual video editing than it is about the product. So my goal was, no, I'm going to find an angle that's not too intrusive to my process, but also it's a pretty good angle that you can see what I'm doing. I'll fast forward some parts, but by that time you should be able to get what I'm doing.
Right, like less bells and whistles and more like direct content, essentially.
Yeah. A proper intro, proper outro, but when it gets to it, you should be able to see what I'm doing. Hopefully.
Yeah, you do. I do. Yeah. I do. So
thank you.
Yeah, man. So that was what? I mean, was that a month? Was January? It was January when you started?
First videos went up January 19th, if I remember correctly. That's when I first uploaded the first ones. And now I think I'm working on number 9.
Number 9 right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's slow. I don't put out one per week. Sometimes I've dropped two a week, but with work and everything, because that's a challenge we all face, YouTube content creators,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Because
we have to squeeze in time for everything.
you've got a day job that's not 8 hours a day. It's much more than that. Then I'm working on diorama commissions, but I got to find a non-intrusive way to record the process, which is a challenge. Then when I'm done with that, edit and upload.
Well, so you're saying sometimes it's two episodes a week, sometimes it's one, maybe. Certainly time is a factor in that, but is there anything that goes into the creative process of making the videos? Or like you said, you have an intro, you have an outro, but do you really try to have a format specifically for every episode, or do you just kind of go, oh, you know what, I'm thinking about doing this, I'm just going to do this video?
No, there's a format. There's a format. Before I even start the video, I have to decide what the diorama is going to be, whether it's just a commission piece, or it's something I'm doing specifically for a video, like the Pennywise weathering. That wasn't a diorama. I just
That was
weathered.
awesome, by the way.
Oh, thank you, thank you. That's mine. It's up there somewhere. But so I decide what it's going to be, and what I want to showcase. I'm going to showcase the entire process, but what I really want to focus on, because I think that's what people need to see, to be able to accomplish the same thing. So that I
Exactly.
start off with that mentally. None of it is scripted. No part of it. I talk, and then the actual part at the workshop, which I keep pointing behind me because that's the door behind me. When I'm actually working, it's obviously I record it and then I do the voiceover later. Again, it's not scripted. I just free talk over it. Try to be as precise as I can. Yeah, and I show all of my process. I don't cut anything out. I don't cut any materials out. There's no secrets that are left out, because I don't think there are any secrets.
Right, and plus you
Yeah.
want it to be, like you said, you're trying to have like direct information. You want everybody to see. Basically, by the time I finish watching your video, and if I need to, I can rewind it, I can pause, I can take my own time with it. But if I watch your video at my pace, I should be able to do exactly what you showed us to do, right?
Yeah, it's just meant to be exactly that. An instructional video. You happen to be crafting, right? But I thought, hey, I use YouTube all the time to learn how to change the axle in my car, right?
Right.
So it needs to be step by step. So I try to keep that in mind. Like, hey, it needs to be step by step. What I know, not everyone knows, even if it's simple. So I have to explain that and show them the tools and materials.
Well, I think one of the great things about that too, in that nature, is that you're going to have newer people coming into this collecting hobby, right? Into this community. And you can have a video that's say, hey, this is how I made, this particular diorama. You can too. And so maybe new collectors are looking into this, and they stumble upon your videos and they're like, oh wow, I didn't know we could do this. And you know what I'm saying? So you're because it's all informative and instructional, I think there's like a lasting impact on these videos. Like from years from now, people can like tune in and like discover this for the first time.
I hope so. That's a good point that you mentioned that, because my goal with the video and with the channel is to inspire creativity, because I don't think you can teach creativity. You can just inspire it. Like, what I'm teaching you is just skills. And I'm not teaching you how to make the diorama I'm making in this or any video, right? I'm just hopefully teaching you the skills, and then you can use that and say, hey, I don't have to do this, but I can use these skills to make something else. Like, and inspire that level of creativity is what I hope to do. What I've learned from other, creative shows, Bob Ross,
Bob Ross.
you name it. That's
Wow.
just about learning the techniques.
What you just said kind of blew my mind, man, just now.
Which part, the creativity?
Yeah, you said, can you say it one more time? Because I found that really just hit me. You said you're not teaching.
So it's very subjective, but in my opinion, and I've always said this, you can't teach creativity. That comes naturally, or you get inspired to do it. You can only hope to inspire people to be creative. What you can teach them is the skills and the techniques, and hopefully they will use that and be creative.
That is amazing, because I never really considered it that way, right? But you're absolutely right, right? Like you're showing the skills. Okay, I could teach you what to do, and in doing so, hopefully I can make you inspired to be creative with these skill sets that I'm showing, right? Because like they don't necessarily have to make a diorama like verbatim, like just how you made it. They'll understand
Yeah.
how it works, and then they can, maybe something sparks in them, and they're like, actually, now that I understand this, what if I wanted to do this a little different, or make put like some trees here and mix it, or something, right? Like
Yeah.
where the creativity sparks from.
Yeah, and that statement, that my subjective approach to it, stems from, I mean, I've been taking art classes since I was 10. By art classes, I mean not just art class in your normal curriculum in school. I mean outside, you're taking art classes, and I've been teaching art, as an assistant since I was like 13. Like
Oh,
anybody
really?
in those art, yeah, anybody that was in the art class. I mean, you had the option. I went to an outside art class. You had to pay for the classes, right? And if you got to a certain level that the teachers deemed appropriate, they would say, "Hey, do you want to be an assistant?" What you get is you're technically volunteering, but you get access to the facilities and to paints and whatnot. You get that for free instead of having to pay for it, but you have to assist for X amount of hours a week. So I had that. So I was assisting, and as I was teaching people, like, and I did that until I was 19, 20, from like 13. And as I was teaching that, I used to, you make artwork, you teach people how to paint, and a lot of people would say I could never do that. And I said, yeah, you can. I can teach you how to do it. It's not a problem. I can't teach you how to be creative, but I
Right.
can teach you how to copy a painting. No problem. You'll get it. Anything that I do, I can teach you how to do it. It's just, it's like saying you don't know how to build a motor. You can if you had an
Well,
instruction booklet.
to a point, I understand, because I think I might have been one of those people in the crowd. Because like when I was
Yeah.
younger, I drew comics, or tried to draw comics anyway. As a kid. And one thing I absolutely suck at, and still to this day, if you if you challenged me in any way, like I would fail, is that I don't understand shading, like at all, right?
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard because and that's a great example because you can learn how to copy a picture with the shading, and I can show you gradation, right? And people that are much better than me can show you that the different tones and gradients. But then if I tell you, okay, now draw a person, you might be able to draw a person or a box, but if I tell you shade it, like you yourself said, you might
I'm
not be able to
lost.
do it.
Yeah.
You're lost. It takes time, and it takes because that's imagination and picturing the box in your head and how light would actually affect it. I'm not great at that either, but I could teach you how to
But I
copy
see where
something.
that's where people would come from, that like where they're like, I can't
Yeah,
do this, because that's how I felt. But I'm sure if with like you're saying, if you and I sat down for like 2 weeks and you really just told me
yeah,
like, yo, check it out, see how light works, how it reflects, how a shadow's cast, and like really bored into your head till you learn it, right? Because we all know that we're out in the world, we see light every day, we see shadows, but I don't think our brains necessarily, like you said, close your eyes and imagine a box and imagine the
yeah,
sun
yeah,
hitting it from the east. How is that going
yeah,
to look in your mind? I'm like, I don't know. Uh,
yeah.
does the
It's
shadow
not
go that
happening.
way? I don't know which way it goes. Like,
It's the same thing with anything. Sports is not my thing. So you get like the top of the line athlete to try to teach me something. He might be able to teach me all the steps, but I'm not probably not going to be able to put it together once he's gone. And to a winning strategy for a game. Like,
well,
not my
it's
talent.
kind of like that whole like, TV show trope or something, where like somebody's golfing and like, the person stands behind them and like tries to teach them how to swing. It's like that, right? They're
Yeah.
like, I can show you how to
Yep.
do it, but you got to be able to do it. I can show you
You
how to
gotta
do it, but the creativity's there, or
practice.
the practice and so on and so forth. So well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So you were about 9 or 10, and that's when you decided to go outside of school to start taking art classes.
Yeah. My parents thought that I was pretty good at drawing, just drawing how a kid would draw. And I would do the same thing, like you were saying, like we all did, copy comic books. But then they saw I was really interested in it, so they put me in painting classes when I was 10, and it was about 12, 13 that the art teachers at this art class, it was local art class, said, okay, you can assist us with people because they had kids as young as like 4 and 5 years old.
Oh,
So
okay.
they had you try to teach your level and below, And then once you get to once I was like 15 years old, I was teaching like adults, that
Oh
came in
wow,
as a
really?
hobby. Yeah. Yeah, it's easy because you're not teaching like professionals. It was just like a basic level class,
Okay,
so
I see.
yeah.
People just
Yeah,
had an
it made
interest in it and
sense.
they wanted to come in and learn. And
Right, right, right. It wasn't like master class in Renaissance painting or anything like that. It was just basic stuff.
well, that's interesting then. So you really, it's your parents really encouraged that then from you.
Yeah, my as you can tell, they were really positive and encouraging. They got me into collecting. They encouraged the art portion, so can't say enough good things about them.
That's awesome. And then here you
Yeah.
are now creating dioramas. What? So curious about that though, because I know you've been doing these for a little while now. After you made the switch over to six scale from Warhammer and stuff, and mentioned you've already done a few commissions. Do you feel like this is something that's a hobby? I mean, but now that you're starting to sell these as well, do you feel like you're just gonna like is this something you would get burnt out on, or are you really trying to like go forward with this and like really make a business out of it?
I don't feel like I could get burned out of it. I feel like I can get tired just like I would with any other job, but no, it's more than just a hobby for me. I've always been involved, even in my day job. I've always been involved in the toy industry in one aspect or the other, going back to 2005. So, yeah, this is more than just a hobby. I right now it's very minor, really small. It's just me doing a couple of commission pieces here and there. Right? If it gets bigger, great. If it doesn't get bigger, that's fine too. I'm just doing what I love, and having fun with it. Same thing with the channel.
Well, and that's why I was wondering, because you were doing these and then you decided, well, I'm gonna create a YouTube channel about it. So now I feel like you know what I'm saying. You're like, well, it was fun, make some commissions, but now that now that I'm putting it out there and I'm making videos on this, I've wanted to know if that was like that further drives you now. You're like, well, now I can't really stop because I want to
Yeah,
also grow a channel too.
that does help. That does help. Not that I had any intentions of ever stopping, right? But you're right. That does help because now it's like, well, now if I quit one, the other one kind of goes away too, right?
Right.
Unless,
They're kind of
you
like
know,
synonymous with each other now.
right? So yeah, I wanted to continue the commission work, but I also wanted to show people the process, because it's good. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback so far, and it's only been a month or so, but it's been fun, man. I can
Yeah, I
say
mean,
that.
it's even though so the channel's very early and you're already growing at a really good a really good pace, and the community, I'm sure, not only appreciates it but also supports it. So that's something that's really nice to have. You know what I'm saying? Like people having your back on that.
Yeah, yeah. I've gotten like 99.9% of it has been positive. It's unbelievable. One of the best comments I got was one individual said, "Oh, this is great. I'm gonna go do this now with my daughter." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. They're gonna get their kids into
Oh
it." So
wow, that is awesome. That's got to be
yeah,
yeah, that's got to give you some drive on that too. You know, it's a feel good moment.
yeah, absolutely, it was. I was like, "That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool."
So getting back to Hot Toys, then I'm curious. You got back into the game mainly because of Star Wars,
Yeah,
2017, 2018, right? Dark Side
yeah.
Anakin. How is this thing looking forward now? Because I mean, are you just collecting Star Wars after once you got back into it, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, once I got that dark side Anakin, it was full steam ahead, and I emphasize full steam ahead, not backwards, which is what I always people ask me for budgeting advice. I say, well, don't go backwards. Uh,
Yeah.
so I started going forward, and I try to collect as many of the Star Wars ones, or curate, not collect, as many of the Star Wars ones as possible. And it's getting harder. In the past 2 years, the announcements, even to keep up with, and all these announcements that are still just announcements, they haven't been released. Where's Ahsoka? Anyhow,
Right.
so yeah, it's hard to keep up, but I'm trying to focus just on Star Wars. I got Pennywise, so horror related things I'll definitely try to go out and get. If there's anything, I got Endgame, Cap, Mark 85, Fat Thor, because they were the trio from Endgame, and that represented like an end cap if you will. Especially since I started with Iron Man back in 2008.
So that's right. So you're just exactly like curating. So you're not completely, you're primarily Star Wars, but if there's something like that, you're like, okay, well, I'll get those 3 because it's the end game.
Yeah.
And that could just be my representation of that right there. And then we move along.
Yeah, exactly. Star Wars is the one that I've never gotten. Well, I started with Darkseid Anakin, but since 2018, I haven't sold any of them. Whereas Marvel, I have, like, all my original 2008 Iron Man, the plastic ones. I sold them all. Mark 1, 2, 3. I've sold them all off. They were great for the time, but
sure, right, yeah.
Mark 85. So yeah, sold those off. I've got the DC line, which again I'll probably get the 2-pack Nightmare Batman and Justice League Superman in the black suit because it's so cool.
It looks so cool. I know those will be my first as of right now. That could change, but those that was a pre-order. I usually don't pre-order stuff, but those will be my first DC figures, believe it or not.
Yeah. I had the DX. I had the first DX01, which I believe was the Joker. I still have him. I had the second version of him, the DX version 2.0. I forgot what DX it was. I had him, the Ledger one. I sold the second one because I didn't like it as much as the first, believe it or not. Some of my favorite Hot Toys are the 89 Batman and Nicholson Joker. Those are probably my top 2, followed by Darkseid Anakin. Hot Toys in general.
So you still have the 89 Batman and okay, just making sure.
Yeah, okay. I still have them. So I have that Keaton Batman. I don't have the Returns Batman. I like the 89 Batman.
Yeah,
with the organic looking suit.
Classic, man, classic.
Yeah, still my favorite Batman, Keaton.
Oh yeah, me too. Not gonna lie. I'm hoping maybe we'll get a reissue one day. I don't know, but
yeah. It might not be the same. Maybe if we have a flashback in that Flash movie,
right?
Or at least you'll get an old version, an old Keaton in the bat suit for sure.
Yeah, it's not gonna be the same though.
No, it's not.
No, I need that 89 Batman. It's interesting then. So yeah, because I'm pretty much the same way. I mean, like everything you guys see behind, it's Star Wars. It's all Star Wars, but I still have a couple of, you know what I mean? Like I do have some Back to the Future, and I have Spider-Mans, and soon a couple DC, and but that's exactly what you mean. It's just like a little bit of a representation of it, and that's all I need. Don't get carried away and go down that rabbit hole of that property because I'm primarily Star Wars.
Yeah, I can't do Marvel, man. I'll do a few, but if you go down that rabbit hole, oof. That's a lot coming from Hot Toys. So
yeah, it's I think they're about the same, Marvel and Star Wars. I don't remember the count, but there's a ton. That's my point. There's a ton of both properties. So you're like, really got to just stick to one of those.
I'm not even sure I can do all the Star Wars with all the troopers now. You've got your tank trooper, your transport trooper. You got, I got all 3 short troopers, the original Rogue One and the 2 new ones, because that's my favorite trooper design. And now you've got the Stormtrooper Commander, but you've got the Incinerator and also the
Artillery
one. Yeah, there we go. Mustard.
Assault Tank Commander, Transport. Like it's all just
so many, and they're all awesome. I love the trooper. I mean, I was into Warhammer 40K, and it's all about building an army, right? So
exactly.
They're every single one is slightly different because you can make them slightly different. And same thing here. I never army build in the sense that I buy the same MMS or TMS model number twice. Never done that. The 2, you probably can't see it, but the 2 Death Troopers I have here, that's one of them is from Rogue One and the other one is from Mando.
Oh, so you never, so you don't do the rule of 2 on troopers. You just literally get one of each trooper, and that's how you will, kind of represent like an army build, essentially, just one of each.
Yeah, I'm okay with variants. I mean, even collecting McFarlane toys back in the day, there were variants where, an arm is a different color. If the Death Trooper from Rogue One was a specialist and had the pad, whereas the one from Mando didn't have that. That's a variant.
Right. That's true. 100%.
And it's a different model number.
Yeah. And they slightly, exactly. They are a variant. They're slightly different looking, but when you put them together, you're like, oh, okay, those are 2 Death Troopers.
Yeah. And the short troopers, they're the 3, they're each different color schemes.
I love them. I have all 3 of them as well, man.
Yep.
They're badass.
Yep. That's my favorite design for sure. So, but it's hard to keep up. Outside of that, I had the original. I collected a lot of the Alien, not all of it, but I didn't have the Colonial Marines, but I did have the Alien, the big chap from the first movie, Dallas Kane, because that's my favorite movie of all time. But no, I don't have Ripley because that came out when I wasn't collecting Hot Toys.
Yep, I know. And they showed off that power loader one, and they never put it out.
Yeah, that's right. And then they did have a power loader. Didn't they have a power loader like back in the day, like with Aliens, Colonial Marines? I could have sworn they did.
They may have, but I know there was a Ripley that came with it.
Yeah, and they had an original Ripley back with that from Aliens, back when they had the Colonial Marines, and they were good, but you can tell they didn't have the likeness rights.
No, they didn't have the likeness, because there's the other Ripley too, right? That is just from Alien,
one.
right? Yeah, and she has the cat.
That one. Yeah, that was cool. That was from the first Alien, and then I've got a couple of Predators. The Chopper was my first one, and then the classic Predator from Predator, and Dutch Billy. I've got a lot of those. I would say, even from Predators. What is his name? Brody. Forgot his name in the movie.
I forgot too.
Yeah, I had him. I think it looked like a cool character. And then the main Predator from that one even had some Terminator stuff from Salvation.
Oh, okay.
Back when that movie came out, which those figures were really cool. I know the movie wasn't that great, but a lot of people don't like the movie, but the figures were cool.
No, the figures were great. I missed out on all that stuff. Like, believe me, I would have, if I was collecting then, you bet your ass I would have Aliens, Predator, Terminator, like RoboCop. I missed all this good stuff, man. And it's like, for me, it's good stuff, right? Because I think we're just the product of our generation. I'm like, dude,
it's amazing. And I unfortunately I did have that 5-year gap, which I kicked myself for, that I didn't get a lot of the stuff. I didn't get RoboCop, which I would have definitely picked up. Some of the Terminator stuff came out at that time. Ripley came out during that time, and all that first wave of Star Wars of the OT, which I didn't get.
That's the best wave.
That's the wave I missed.
Yeah, unfortunate, man. But yeah, you know what? We all start somewhere. We all, come back, take breaks, and restart, and be like, oh.
Yeah, I don't mind. Like, it's like, I wish I had it, but I was able to get the Rogue One Death Trooper and Shore Trooper on Sideshow during one of their graveyard finds. You gotta be really lucky to get those, and now you lucked out. So I got.
That's insane, bro. That's insane. Yeah. Those are both expensive pieces.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't look back. I'm not gonna spend my ridiculous rule of thumb is spend retail or maybe 10% above retail. That's about it. And of course, nothing goes for that. The original trilogy, nothing goes for that. They're all going for much higher, as they should, reasonably.
Right? Yeah, of course.
I'm just, I'll go forward. I can't go back and forward.
No, it's really a bad, now actually that's a good point, man, because I've asked everybody this, and so far every person I've spoken with has all said yes. So I am curious, through your let's say Hot Toys in general, through your Hot Toy collecting journey, have you ever gone a little too far ahead of yourself and ended up, pretty much putting yourself in debt because of it?
No.
Wow. Okay. No. You are the first. Congratulations.
I say that humbly, so I'm not saying that to show off.
Of course.
I mentioned that, I'll mention them one more time. My parents, they instilled this. One of the things they instilled in me is never go into debt. And I that's one of my fears.
Doing that. Good advice, man.
So I don't take, I didn't take that with a grain of salt. It's that's one of the main things. I have a spreadsheet. I recommend people have a spreadsheet for whatever their hobbies and actual, not hobbies, necessities. Don't go overboard. This is just that. And that's why yes, I had a 5-year gap, but I was collecting through the 5-year gap. Other statues, which are
right. You were getting statues and things like that.
Right. And in Hot Toys, if you ask me how many Hot Toys I have, I think I probably have like maybe 70. You got to consider I started in 2007.
Right.
There's people that started a year ago or 2 years ago, and they're like, I've got 150.
Yeah, that's
awesome. When I grow up, I want to be you. Because I can't right now. So I really do. I budget. And you know, and you got to consider too, like a lot of people are like, how many hot toys did you get this month? Two. Well, that's $600. You just spent $600 on a hobby in a month.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
a
lot.
lot. That's one of the, I know hobbies are expensive. That's one of the, probably this is probably one of the most cheap hobbies if you consider it. Because you know anything else is expensive, but $600 a month is, that's rent for some people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Or a portion of it anyway. Nowadays,
Yeah, yeah, or at least a good portion of it, a meal, food for the month. That's a lot. Even if it's one hot toys, $300 is no joke.
That's true. We sometimes, I think we forget that sometimes, right? We get so used to being in the Hot Toys game, right, where you're just expecting it. These are the prices. Okay, I got it, and then don't even realize that, you know, let's say you buy 3 or 4 in a month. You know, it's over $1,000 right there. You know.
And that's why I've always I needed that creative outlet, because number one, I've always been creative, but also because I have this addictive personality that once I start with something, like I need to keep going with it. And if you're looking at, you can look at any hobby. If you look at hot toys, if you buy a toy, you've set it up and you've posed it a few times and you've got nothing else to do, you're going to go out and you're going to buy another one,
Oh yeah.
whether you've got the money or not. So for me, what do I do is okay, like I've done that. I've bought it, I've set it up, I've posed it. Now what do I do? Do I go spend more money? Well, I don't have that money, but I do have some cheap materials. I'm going to go focus on that. I'm still focusing on this hobby because I'm
Yeah.
making dioramas at 6 scale, but I'm not, you know, necessarily spending another 300 something dollars.
No,
You
that's
know,
a great
while still
point.
being involved. Yeah.
Yeah, because I too have an addictive personality.
Yeah.
Like really do. So it's like, you know, even just back in the day, you know, we'll save that for another time. But the point it's like, okay, I'm into collecting these things, and you're absolutely right. I get a figure, I have some fun, I open it up, I pose it, I examine everything, and then eventually you're like, okay, that's cool. Put them on the shelf, on to the next one. You know what I mean? And just
I'll take another, please.
Yep. Yep. And so on and so forth. And that's kind of how I feel as well. Like when I create content, whether it's this podcast here now or live streams or, you know, unboxing and reviews or, you know, anything in general, it's like I get into it and it's like very similar to what you were saying. It's like, okay, maybe I won't pick up a hot toy right now, but you know what I can do? I can do an unboxing video. Or,
Yep.
you know what I can do? I can hang out with Mario and do a posing review live with people, right? And that's costing me time, sure, but I'm still engaged in the hobby and the community, right? You see what I'm saying? But I'm not
Absolutely.
dropping that money to feed the beast, as as it were, right?
Yeah. When you have a budget, you got to get creative. And that can mean anything from, like you just said, posing, you know, do storyboard animations with it, stop motion, a diorama, like a content creation, whatever. That's, as long as you remain engaged in the hobby that you want to be engaged in, but from a different aspect and not necessarily dropping cash.
Right. Because it could be a sinkhole, guys. It really can. I'm sure some of you out there realize that, have had it happen to them, or if not, treat this as a cautionary tale, because it's happened to a lot of us, man. I am curious though, because you got on the live streams, or I kind of want to bring it back to that for a second, because it got me thinking. You weren't initially into this. It was just you're creating your dioramas. You did some commissions. People recognized. They reached out to you, brought you on some streams. Do you feel? And I'm sure this is probably an obvious question, but do you feel more connected now to the community because of that?
Absolutely. Because before I was in the live streams, you know, I was watching just like anybody else, not so much live streams, but figure reviews. And then I saw the live streams and I was like, wow, this is so fun. Cause just watching it gave you a sense of, wow, you're hanging out in the live chat with people that are like-minded. Cause I have friends, you know, but none of them collect like I do. None of them collect 6 sale.
I don't think
None
any
of
of
them
our
collect
friends
to
do.
this. Yeah. And after talking to you guys behind the scenes, you know, it's the same deal, right? But now you're connecting with a community that does have the same interests. And that's always good, and no matter what hobby you're in.
Yeah,
So it
I
makes you
agree.
feel a part like of the community, which I would still be collecting even if I was collecting, even if I didn't know anybody that did, right?
Right. But I
I'm
feel like it
truly doing
maybe
this. Yeah. Yeah. I'm truly doing this because I want to, and it's fun. It's fun to be part of a community. It's what it's all about now, to be honest.
So okay, so I'm wondering, as you started creating your content now for your channel and getting into live streams, are there any particular, like you kind of mentioned, right? Just the being a little bit of an introvert on it, and getting on camera. But I mean, would you consider that or anything else, like any other challenges that you've had to kind of overcome, like during this whole journey?
Yeah, just just being an introvert, and
Just in,
anybody that, yeah, just being deciding to get in front of a camera, not only like we're doing now, but especially for content creation when you're recording yourself and then you have to edit yourself. Man, you know what I'm talking about. But good
I
God,
do.
when you hear the sound of your voice, it's like, man, anybody that's recorded their voice knows what I'm talking about, because
That's true. That's
so
true.
weird.
Do you
So
feel
weird.
do you feel like it's because, like, for me, when I do pre-recorded videos, for a while it was very difficult for me, because I felt like, okay, I'm talking to myself right now. You know what I mean? But I had to like turn some switch in my head where I was like, listen, dude, you're talking to viewers right now. They're not here. You're not live, and they haven't seen this video yet, but you're talking to actual people right now. You have to like tell yourself this, and like that was hard for me. I don't know. That's why I was wondering, if it was difficult for you, or if it's still difficult for you, or if you're, feeling comfortable with it.
No, I don't feel comfortable with it. But it was, man, that first time when you're recording, yeah, you get that. It's like, I can't believe I'm talking to no one. I feel like a crazy person. But you have, like you said, you have to remind yourself this is for someone. Maximum effort, as Deadpool would say, right? Get out
Right.
there, just maximum effort. Try to present something that's engaging, entertaining, something that you would want to watch, that I would want to watch. So that's what I did, and it's a challenge every time. I just said I think I'm editing my 10th video or ninth video, so ways to go on that. Still learning all the tech, the tech details, audio, lighting. I'm getting better with every video, but there's still a lot that I'm just a noob on. So
No, I think we're all that way. It's I've always said, man, if anybody tells you that they're a master of something, they're full of shit, right? Because
ooh,
you can never stop learning, and you can never stop getting better in anything in
yeah,
life.
yeah,
So
I completely agree. No, I'll never be a master of anything. I'll just hopefully be good enough to be able to impart some knowledge on others. Is what I can hope, on my daughter, on people in general. Hopefully,
no, I mean that's a huge thing, man, and especially with your channel too, because like we'd mentioned, it's you're creating. I would say educational. It's educational videos, right? So it's gonna stand the test of time. However long this hobby's around, people, like I said, years from now can come back, watch your video, and learn something.
I would hope so. And you mentioned challenges too, and like I have to put out there, it takes a lot of time. So my family's incredibly supportive. My wife, my daughter. So without them, I probably wouldn't be able to do that without their patience. So it's been good. That's been a challenge in and of itself, overcoming that and trying to get scheduling right, because it just takes a lot of time. So very
Right,
lucky in
like
that
between
regard.
work, so you're busy with work, and then you have time with the family. So it's
Yeah.
like trying to squeeze this in, right? Because this is still a hobby first. I mean, out of the tier of life, right? This is more hobby than
Yeah. I mean, it's
priority.
right. It's more, yes, it is commissions, but it's not nowhere near what my day job is, right? I still need my day job, and a day job is not 8 hours a day. It's much more than that nowadays. So it's like I said, trying to find time to squeeze this in, and it's a challenge, but it's one that I welcome for sure.
Sure, absolutely. And you mentioned that you've always worked in some kind of toy related capacity, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. Right out of the university, I got a job at a small toy company called Safari Limited in Miami. They're in Jacksonville now, but they started off in Miami. And I was working in toy design. They made like educational toys, so they mainly made like animal replicas.
Oh,
and some
okay.
puzzle sets and stuff like that. But then when I came in, they started getting into like mythical creatures, so they started making dragons and
Unicorns,
like
stuff like that.
yeah, stuff exactly. So I got to design some dragons, which was pretty cool to see your work, your 2D designs working with a sculptor and a sculpting team and getting those produced. That was amazing. So I started off that way, and from there I actually took kind of a bit of a turn, and I started getting into quality assurance and safety as it relates to toys. So I've been in that field since 2009, 2010.
So,
And again, it's toy related, but from the quality assurance perspective.
so what
And
does that
that,
entail?
so it pretty much what it sounds like. It's making sure that toys are safe based on global regulations by country, client regulations, depending on the clients that I work with, and also ensuring quality assurance, making sure that uh, whatever it may be, whatever the limits you've set up
Like
are
no
present.
sharp object or like small objects to choke on,
So
things like
that's
that, or
yeah. So that's safety. So like small parts, all those warnings, the testing that comes with that, depending on the age grading, that's what I work with. But also, like I said, from a quality assurance standpoint, like does this toy have too much overspray? Does it have underspray? Things that are go beyond safety and go more into
what
quality.
what is underspray and overspray?
So that's just a overspray. Um, it refers to a paint application, right? So if you're painting, we're talking hot toys. So imagine a hot toys. This usually doesn't happen with hot toys, but it happens. So if you have a line like on a stormtrooper's armor, like the 501st, that blue line,
Right.
if you see like literally overspray, like the spray goes beyond the defined line, that would be
Or like a
overspray.
stenciled line, basically, like it's outside
Yeah.
of where it needs to be.
Right, right, like sloppy stencils, right? Yes, that would be overspray, and underspray is the exact opposite. Like it didn't really, that's just one thing, one of many quality things. You have plastic flash, plastic, short moldings, short shots. I can go on.
No, that's
you
cool.
know,
That's very
Character
interesting.
defects. It depends what we're referring to as quality per product. You've got your very basic things that are quality across all products, and then very
Like
product specific.
specific ones for whatever the client is at the time. Like for example, like you know
Right.
what I mean? Like they want it
Yeah.
this way. These guys want it
Yeah.
this way.
Yeah, you have to keep it. Sometimes it goes into technical details of design, right? Like for hot toys, I don't work for hot toys, but I can imagine like the arms fitting into pegs correctly, or the arms fitting into the hands pegs fitting into the arms correctly, the arms fitting into the sockets correctly, so that you don't have a loose body like such as after after a while.
Oh shit.
That all goes into quality control, right? So yeah,
That's
and that costs money.
no, that's true. I didn't know you did that. I'm sure everybody watching didn't know that either. That's
Yeah.
so you've been in it for a while. Do you where do you see yourself then in 5 years? Is it you want to stay where you're at, or is there like an end goal in sight working with toys?
I really like what I do. I'd like to stay doing this kind of work, product quality assurance and safety. Definitely for toys. Probably branch out. I'm starting to branch out more and doing the same for general merchandise items, which has been a lot of fun actually learning about that. But just I want to have a gradual growth in that field, and so far so good. Like I said, I've been in it for over a decade now, just doing that. So it's been fun, but it's been nice that I've been able to keep my hands on the toy industry through that regard. That's how I was able to travel to China so many times and visit the production facilities.
Oh, I didn't
Um,
even. So you've okay. So you've been to you've
yeah,
traveled to China a few times.
yeah, because we also do. I'm also involved with facility audits, not only quality assurance and testing, but inline inspections for quality. So we visit client facilities overseas, usually in southern China, and I've been there many a times. If I put all the times I've visited there, I probably lived there for like 7 or 8 months, putting all the
Oh
short trips
wow.
together. Yeah, never
Right,
that
right. I
long,
see what
but
you mean. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I've been able to go to toy factories. I've seen Not that these are my clients, but some of the toy factories you visit will produce for many different clients. So I've been to
Right.
factories, and they'll have been producing Hasbro or Sideshow stuff, coincidentally, and it's pretty cool to see this stuff on the line. It's amazing to go into a toy factory. At least I think so.
Oh, I would think so too. It's like a kid in a candy store, right? I mean, you're like, wow,
Yeah.
look at all this. Like, I mean, just
It's neat.
I bet dude, that would be so awesome to look at, man. I am curious though, because of that, right? Do you have a different appreciation or perspective now with Hot Toys, right? Like almost like because you're in it in that respect, like with quality control and everything. Do you look at a Hot Toy and be like, man, that could have been better? Or they goofed up here, or like does it lose some luster, right? Kind of having that inside perspective sometimes.
I would say yes in both ways, and no, it doesn't lose luster. It makes it even more interesting for me. Um, and when I say in both ways, yes, I hold them because I work in quality assurance. And I'll leave the safety part out because it doesn't really apply. It's adult item,
Right. I see what you mean.
But from a quality assurance standpoint, I'm like, man, this takes a lot, and I think people confuse quality assurance for the word detail a lot of times. I can speak to that too, but just looking at that's why I also defend Hot Toys a lot. When somebody says, "Well, why can't they just do that?" And I'm like, because that's a lot of money, man.
Right.
Yeah, sure, everything could be die-cast, but yeah, or why can they just do, why can't they just do this? Well, that would be a lot of money. But at other times, I'm like, it's a high-end item. Maybe that Ahsoka picture in the instructional booklet should be a little bit better thought out. So
yeah, right.
Here,
things
but,
like yeah.
No,
I
it's
get
not
that.
it's not a $30 figure.
No, absolutely not. No, multiply that by 10.
Yeah.
And there we are.
So,
well, I'd imagine at least to an extent, then you can definitely find more appreciation out of your figures then, because you know how you know what goes into it, and
I can picture it. And it's like one of the hardest things to not hard. It's you can produce it, but soft goods when it comes to either tailoring clothing for Hot Toys or just your traditional plush toy. You need skilled workers to do it right. You miss a stitch, and especially on something as detailed as a Hot Toy, and the whole thing's off.
Right, that's true. Yeah, you have to really have a lot of care and detail.
There's a lot of quality assurance there. And I can go at it both ways. I can say, man, you guys got to appreciate the stuff of these toys a lot more. And at the same time, I also say, hey guys, come down. It's hand painted by an assembly line.
Right.
It's like, people look, you see a picture of J.C. Hong painting the prototype, and they're like, that's art. And I'm like, absolutely, that is. You know what's not art? An assembly line.
True. No, that is true. That's true.
That the assembly line is just workers. Like one guy will paint the eyes, or maybe not the eyes. The eyes are probably tampo printed or something. But one guy will paint the freckles or spray this, and then one guy will paint the hair. And one guy, like at the end, you have this amazing product that people should be. I think should. I mean, I'm no one to tell anybody anything, but people should. I think should really appreciate the quality of these toys, right? But is it art? No, it's not art. It's mass produced, high level action figures, if you will. But it is definitely amazing. So much so that I collect them. I've got, I'm crafting things around them. So.
Right. You are. Yeah. Specifically Hot Toys like right now. So that's very, yeah, I agree. They're very high end, mass produced, but they're high end, right above all else. So the quality is, we can all agree, is amazing pieces.
Yes, it is. It is the degree of engineering and crafting that is amazing to me, that they can keep that level of consistent quality. And despite everything, the pleather flaking, everything like that, like there are certain things that cannot be overlooked there. It's an amazing piece of work.
Growing up in that, with your parents always helping and supporting you, getting figures and going out and actually trying to help you get runs, and then encouraging you to go through art, and now, being collecting, basically your whole life, whether it's Hot Toy statues or just the old toys. getting into the field, right, as a profession, working with toys, having that passion and creativity with art. This is all like encompassing, like everything in your life really revolves all around this.
Yeah. Sometimes I lose sight of that, but yeah, it's true. And man, just and being able to do that, I'm very grateful for being able to do what I do. Even if it's mainly, even if I did get away from the design aspect a little bit more, and I'm focusing on QA and safety, just being able to do that for some toys. And again, let me stress, I don't do that for Hot Toys. I've never worked with Hot Toys or
Sure,
or
right.
Sideshow, right? But being able to do that in the toy industry and like set AQL levels and for inspections and make sure that things are, people underestimate the level of quality that goes into even the most basic of products, specifically toys.
I'd imagine a lot,
I'll say
especially
that.
for children's toys.
Very much so, especially anything for under 3 years of age. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. It's fun if you like it.
No, that is absolutely awesome. And because of that, now you're creating content, and it's all encompassing, and it's got to be a fun time for you, man, to be able to craft, advertise it to people, show them, teach them, get involved in the community, and then you get to go to work and have fun in the same respect. So it's like really that's really cool, man.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate, and don't get me wrong, work is hard. Everybody's works hard.
Oh,
and it is work,
right?
It's not crafting, but I very much enjoy it. I'll say that.
Right. It's just within the realm. I mean, you know what I mean? It's
I count myself very fortunate.
It's awesome, bud. That is awesome. Before we wrap, man, because I know we got to get going here. If people don't know where to find you, they've never heard of Desy, they've never heard of Metamorphic Customs, where can they find you? Is it just YouTube, or are we around, or?
Around. So Metamorphic Customs, that's the name of the channel on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. I believe it's at Metamorphic_Customs on Instagram. And I also have a Facebook page called Metamorphic Customs. If you Google the term Metamorphic Customs, all three will probably show up.
Oh, okay. So that's just the blanket line. So if people want to reach out to you, for example, commissions, things like that, they want to see your work, Instagram, so on.
Yep. You can reach out to me on, go to my Instagram page at Metamorphic_Customs. Message me. I respond to every message. Same thing, if you can message me via Facebook Messenger if you find Metamorphic Customs on Facebook. You can leave a comment on YouTube, and I'll try to reach out to you that way too, if you'd like. Whatever you prefer. I usually am. I think I'm easy to reach. So please, even if it has nothing to do with dioramas or the channel, if you just want to reach out and talk 6 scale or any scale, I'm happy to do that.
Awesome,
part
bud.
of being in the community. So
yeah, the community, bro, it's a real tight, it's strength, man. There's strength in unity, right? I mean, everybody's really supportive of one another, whether you're content creators, whether you're, just like you said, starting even with you, like watching, in the chat, being in chat, being able to participate in like-mindedness. I think it's an amazing thing, and it continues to grow.
Yeah, what we do and what you guys do, especially with live streams and just content creation, is just you guys do an amazing job at being able to bring that sense of community to a hobby that's not usually may not have a community, a local community. So to be able to have this, and what you guys do is great. So I'll say that thank you to all you guys, as I've said to Dante and Aries and Easy, and to you, Anthony. So
well, thank you. No, thank you very much, man. It's fun. It's fun to do. I look forward to more. I look forward to seeing more of your stuff. I know we're going to be working on something soon too when you have some time, but
yeah. Got to find that time, man. But I'm excited about what we talked about. I want to get to that for sure.
I can't wait, man. So, all right, guys. Well, once again, thanks for tuning in. Desy, Metamorphic Customs, pleasure to have you again. As always, thank you for coming. And we will see you guys in the next video. See you later. really need to write this down.
No, just off the cuff.
Off the cuff.
Whatever comes naturally.
Okay. Nervousness is what comes naturally. All right, we're good though. We're good.